I am really excited to connect with today's guest.
I am too. We need education right now. I think there's a lot of
Hmm.
confusion in the world about the coronavirus, and I think COVID-19 is on everyone's mind. And I think if you're anything like us, we were really scared the first couple weeks of the
Yep.
unknown. Then things kind of let up a little bit. And now I feel there's certain times that we're in such a routine, we've adjusted our life that you almost forget sometimes that it's out there, or we've heard in the news if you're young and healthy or no pre-existing, you should be fine. And I think that is the case in a lot of cases. But someone like our guest today, Shelby, has had COVID-19 now in symptoms for over 3 months.
Mm.
And she shares her story. And I think it's important to have her inspirational story out there because she's fighting. She's not letting it beat her down. She is incredible. She's spreading positivity, but
Yeah.
also information. She was just on CNN and she's getting her story out there because I don't think there's enough stories of how serious this can be if you're infected on any age.
Yep.
So we wanted to bring her in to hear firsthand.
Yeah, and it's really crazy because I saw her story on Facebook about 2 months ago. She did it Facebook Live because she's had her symptoms for 90 days now. And, it was right in the beginning of everything. And she was just trying to figure it out. And here we are a couple months later, and she's still trying to figure out answers. So today's interview is really just going to shed light on everything that's happening, what's going on with people who are still having these symptoms, who are still going through it, and what it's like and what that means. So we can really, as a whole, just try and figure out more information about this really, really crazy virus that we have on our hands here.
Yeah, so we're very happy that she came on and shared her story with us, and we hope it brings you a lot of value and awareness for you and your family. So we'll hop right into it. Welcome everyone to the Freddie and Alyssa Show. If you're new, please subscribe, like, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff. We've been putting out videos for a couple years now. We have vlogs, interviews, one-offs, and our goal here is always to entertain, inspire, and educate. And sometimes we nail all three. I think this time is definitely going to be inspirational and educational. And so I want to get right to it and talk with Shelby Hedgecock. Here she is. But yeah, Shelby, we are excited to talk with you and just hear your story and just hear how you're doing. You look great. We saw you on
Yeah.
CNN last night. You were great. Your energy was
Thank you.
high,
Yes.
and so we're glad that you're doing better. But we would just love to hear from you personally because I think coronavirus and COVID has been on everyone's mind,
Mhm.
and I'm excited to talk to someone who's had it, who potentially
Has
still
it?
has it,
Yeah.
and just really hear from somebody who's going through it rather than just little snippets without getting enough
Yeah.
information. So I'm glad
Right.
we have this platform to just chat about it. So I'm going to shut up and pass it over to you. So what's been your experience with COVID? How did you get it?
Well,
What has been your whole story so we can kind of get a backstory here?
okay, I will try to summarize as short as I can, but it has been absolutely insane. So, if I look down over here, I'm like looking at notes, and I've been having cognitive difficulties, which I'll get to that momentarily. So just bear with me. But I was diagnosed on April 20th, and I first started having like stomach issues and really bad headaches. And my boyfriend at the time, I didn't even think twice that I had COVID, honestly. And we went through the weekend, and he woke up on Monday morning and had a super high fever. And so my mom, I'm from East Tennessee. I was FaceTiming my mom, and she was like, go get tested. So we went and got tested, got our results back 3 days later, and we both tested positive. Well, he got over it very quickly. I mean, it was just a high fever. He had a slight cough, done. Me, I got progressively worse and worse and worse. So, long story short, I was just getting worse. And there was a point in time where I had pretty much every symptom in the book. There were nights I literally couldn't breathe. My oxygen saturation would get down to about 87%. And normal is about 95 to 100, right? So you can imagine, I mean, that's really, really hard, and it puts a lot of strain on your body. Might I preface this by saying I have no underlying health conditions, period, none. So very strange. But I had went to the hospital 3 different times, and I was turned away every single time. One hospital sent me home with a lidocaine patch. They were like, you are healthy, you're fine. There you go. They didn't hook me up to any monitors or anything. Another hospital, I basically passed out almost in front of their doors. They had to wheelchair me in. They did an x-ray, sent me home. You're young and healthy, you're fine. It's fine. Then I went to another hospital and they finally ran some tests and they saw that something was going on with my white blood cells. Basically, I had a doctor tell a nurse at that place to not come back to the hospital because I'm at risk for infecting others. So I was feeling extremely defeated at that point, and it's a mental thing too, right? You have to have a lot of will to get through something like this, and a lot of people don't believe you whenever it goes on this long, and a lot of people have this thing like, you are young and healthy, right? Like, you're going to be fine. And yeah, you're probably going to be okay, but you do need treatment and you do need care, and you don't need to be disregarded like that, right? And a lot of young people, that is happening, and not even young people, people of all ages. So finally, in between there, I'm sure you saw on CNN, I mean, I had a couple of negative tests because they were trying to get me in to get a CT scan. This CT scan, nobody would do a CT scan for me because I was positive for COVID. So it was like I couldn't get anywhere.
So real quick, sorry to interrupt you. So with your when you went to the hospital those 3 times, was that like back to back to back, or you went home and thought, oh, I'm going to get better?
I went home and I was like, I'll give it a few more days and try. And then it wasn't getting better.
And then
I had to talk myself through.
What were you actually feeling? Like, what was was it the breathing that brought you to the hospital? Was it the flu-like symptoms? Like, what was it? Just
all of it.
Like death? Just like,
yeah, I mean, the breathing was absolutely terrifying. I would wake up gasping for air. And the problem was, whenever I was awake and alert, my O2 saturation was fine. But whenever I was sleeping, it wasn't. So my boyfriend would monitor me, and I have video of my O2 saturation. I have pictures of my O2 saturation at night where my O2 would drop to about 87, 86, and my pulse would be about 122. That means my heart was overworking, trying to get oxygen, and that puts strain on your other organs, and nobody would listen to me.
And then, so what happened from there? Experience?
Yeah, so I ended up going to an urgent care. I was trying to get these tests, and I went through the county, had a couple of negative tests, went to this urgent care, and he was like, well, let's do a nasal swab. Well, this nasal swab ended up coming back positive. Okay, so now there's this whole issue with the testing being inaccurate, which we all know it is. And by then, I mean, I'm just over it. It's like, what do you do at that point? Well, 7 days after or 6 days after my last positive test, I lost all feeling in my legs. I was on the phone and I was walking, and I was on the phone with I think it was my boyfriend. Got off the phone with him, lost all feeling in my legs. And so I was like, okay, what's going on here? Called my doctor, and my doctor was like, okay, Shelby, I know you don't want to hear this, but you need to go to Cedars-Sinai in Beverly Hills. You know, they're one of the top research hospitals in the nation. And so I went, and I'm so happy to say that Cedars, every single person there, from the security guard all the way up to the neurologists and the doctors, absolutely amazing, the best care. So they took care of me. I was admitted. They actually ended up seeing my O2 saturation drop, and they wanted to do further testing and neurological stuff on me. And yeah, so fast forward to now, 91 days in today, and I'm having neurological issues. I have permanent damage. My lungs, spleen, and chest are all scarred. I still have the excruciating headaches, and so I'm on a daily medication for that. I have fatigue, and I can't work out, which is really hard for me because, like, working out is like a huge thing. I'm starting like my wellness, mind, body, soul business, and I've kind of made I'm having to change around some things just with some things that I've dealt with myself and everything. So it'll be great, but I'm just having to find different ways to cope and therapy wise. And then I do have to get a brain MRI. So that's where I'm at currently.
So, my God, so I have so many
I
questions
know,
just
me
because
too.
I know.
My head.
I know it's a lot. I try to shorten it, but it's
no, this is what we need, because I think more than anything, we're just all so confused. And even watching your CNN clip, I was so bummed that we only got to hear like a
Couple
minute
minutes
from
from
you.
you.
And I'm like, I can Google doctors. I
Mhm.
want to hear from people who have it and
Right.
their experience, because you know what it's like going to all these doctors. You're able to use an aggregate of all this information and go, here's what I've experienced. Here's what so then how do you think your boyfriend got better or didn't have symptoms, and then you're having it so bad? Have you figured out, has there any,
No one knows.
and why
Can
does
I
it
ask your blood type? Have you heard about different studies on that?
I don't know. I honestly think it's just a theory.
Yeah.
I think that at this point, everybody's just kind of throwing out theories, but it's a problem because, we're long haulers. I'm a part of, the long haulers group on Facebook, and thank God for them, seriously, because otherwise I would think that I was going absolutely nuts. And, uh, we're really going through it. There's no treatment, and there's a lot of problems with the people that can't, with the faulty testing, and the people that can't get a positive test, but they for sure have COVID. But the tests are so faulty, they can't get a positive test, so then they can't get help with their insurance. They can't get help under the CARES Act, and so then you have all those issues. They can't get their any sort of treatment financially or anything like that. It's just, it snowballs into one issue after another, and these lasting symptoms are just, it's horrible. It really is.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I do have faith in our recovery. I do 100%. I don't want to be negative about it by any means, but we need to be shedding more light on those of us that have been struggling for so long. Why is this happening? And why are we being disregarded this long in the game,
Well, and also too, I can only imagine how hard it is for you, because if there's other diseases or sicknesses, if someone has cancer, it seems like the whole world rallies behind you because we've accepted that it's real, that you've seen it. Where I feel you probably are going through so much that there's a part of the society who doesn't even believe that this is real,
True.
and there's no answers. It's become political, and it's just hurting all of us because we're getting so much misinformation. Do you wear a mask? Do you not? We're on the mask team. We believe wearing masks helps. I'm curious
Yeah.
about your opinion there. And then what have you heard about asymptomatic? I mean, some of these like key things that are in the news: blood type, asymptomatic, your age. Like, is there any sort of like absolutes that you have found during your process?
Here's the thing. I think that there's so many unknowns about this, right? And I think that we should all act like we have it.
Hmm.
Period. That's the only way that we're going to be able to take care of each other and get through this. We should all act like we have it. Because yes, there are asymptomatic people that have it. How the rate of transmission, we don't really know exactly how often that happens. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, people are getting infected at alarming rates, and it's a roll of the dice how it's going to affect you or your loved one. So act like you have it, be a responsible adult, and take precautions. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. And even if a mask, it's not like we're trying to save everybody. Would we like to do that? Of course we would like to save everybody, but that's not logical. We're not trying to save everyone. But if something as simple as a mask can help save a few people, then let's do it. What is the big deal, right?
Yeah.
So I think that we should all just pretend everybody has it and move forward in society that way. While our scientists are working very hard to figure out what's going on.
Yes, absolutely. So then for your personal experience, you had really bad symptoms and then you thought you were getting better and then they came back again.
Mm-hmm.
So you're curious, I guess the whole world is, if you can be infected twice or if you've just had this whole time, because you've had negative tests and positive, but then again, it could be faulty
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in my situation, and I think in a lot of our situations as long haulers, I just think it's ongoing symptoms
Okay.
because but it's also weird because there are a lot of long haulers that will test positive on down the line. So they're just it's so there's so many unknowns. That's why we just need to progress like everybody has it. Mask up, don't stop living your life by any means, enjoy your life, but just take precautions, social distance, wash your hands. It's not that complicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel that do you have a moment in time that you go, I bet you this is where I picked it up? Or were you being like what was when the national emergency was announced March 13th,
Mm-hmm.
did you find yourself being cautious the first month before infected, or were you kind of in between? Like is there a moment you go, oh, this is probably where I got it, or no?
Yeah, so I work from home. Like I'm a part-time wellness coach, and then I also am an account manager with ZenTap. So I help real estate agents with marketing, right? So thank God I have a job that has taken care of me. Also during this time, I can work from home and whatnot. So we were staying at home, and I honestly think that we got it through just going to the supermarket or perhaps a gas station. It could be something as simple as that. I mean, here's the thing. We can all be as what's the word? See, here I go. We can all be as cautious. There it is, as cautious as possible. But you can't prevent it all the time, right? So we were being very, very cautious though. So could have been as something as taking the mask off, touching the phone to the face.
Crazy. So then for the neurological symptoms,
Mhm.
how long did that take for those to kind of set in?
A while,
Really?
actually. Yeah, that's actually been more recent. Uh, Probably within maybe the last 6 weeks or so,
Wow.
5 to 6 weeks. Yeah, because well, whenever I lost feeling in my legs, it was May 27th. And so it kind of started progressing around that time. So that's what, been about 6 weeks.
So then in the long haulers group, do you notice that people have similar symptoms long term that you are? Are you all noticing the
Hmm.
same kind of
Hmm.
symptoms?
Hmm.
Really?
Some people are running fevers this long,
Oh my gosh.
fevers, and it's just not getting media attention. There's just,
Crazy.
it's not getting media attention. People don't know what's going on. They're being disregarded even by doctors. They have to hunt for a doctor that will actually help them. It's just, it's not okay.
And what kind of treatment is available? Like what are you there's no, I mean, what are you doing every day to help yourself feel better? Just like eating right and hydrating, like that kind of simple stuff,
Mhm.
or that there's really no medicine or anything to help?
No, I mean, they have me on a daily maintenance headache medication because my headaches, I tell you, I mean, horrible. On a level from 1 to 10, some days they would be a 10. I mean, completely debilitating to where nauseous, throwing up, no light or sound. I mean, I've had a migraine before a while, like, in the past, but this is just another level and how consistent and frequent they were. I mean, I can't live like that. I can't work like that. So, I am on a medication for that. And, I mean, I'm just day
Yeah.
by day. I don't know what the next hour is going to bring. I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow or anything, but I'm just working through it. I do have good days, but I also do have bad days. So I'm just trying to keep my mind healthy because if I don't do that, then
Goes
Oh yeah.
down. So on a
yeah.
scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel today, would you say?
Well, I had to up my dosage of my headache medication last night before I went to bed. So I was feeling really icky this morning just because my body's adjusting. It's not one thing, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think that it was like a COVID thing, but if it wasn't for that, I would say that I feel decent today. So I'm thankful for that.
God.
Well, we're thankful for you too, because it's so refreshing to hear someone talk about it, and I hate that you're going through this,
Mhm.
Mhm.
but like you said, it's not being shown on the news. There's certain days, even this morning, we go, is it gone in Italy? I haven't heard Italy in the news or on social media in 8 weeks. We never hear, like, it's interesting what we're shown. Like, you almost have to research to see what's going on. And I feel maybe a lot of people are just trying to forget about it because it is scary. And sometimes we brush it under the rug. But at the same time, every day we have our routine and we're just staying away from people because we're hearing stories like yourself where people say, oh, you're young, you're fine. It's like statistically maybe, but Shelby is young and healthy and no pre-existing conditions, and she's having it really bad. So I think having your story out there is going to continue to open people's eyes. And do you agree that maybe it's just going to take all these stories over the next few months for everyone to finally rally and go, oh, 10 months later, but yeah, it is real?
I mean, unfortunately, given the political nature of it all, I think that yes, it could take that, but I also think it might take that person who feels some type of way having their mom, grandmother, child, cousin, or somebody affected negatively. And a part of the issue too is, you see this recovered number. This recovered number tells you nothing. There are thousands upon thousands of people suffering that you don't see. Yes, some people get the mild case. I'm so happy to hear that, but that's not the case for a lot of people. A lot of people are suffering long term, and there is no treatment for people like us. And if we don't stay on the grid and stay like, hey, listen to us, we are here, then we're going to continue being disregarded. And we're going to just slip through the cracks, and we're not going to be able to get the help that we need. We need more research into this, because this is a thing, and who knows what it's going to be like for us 5-10 years down the line. So like I was saying before, it truly is a roll of the dice at this point, how it will affect you. And can we get it again? Who knows? Who knows at this point? I did test positive for the antibodies too, but we don't know how long the antibodies last. It doesn't really like it.
Wow.
That's the hardest thing with this entire situation. We know nothing, and
Nobody
getting answers.
It's insane. And I think on Inside Edition yesterday, Tom Hanks was on there too, and he was saying the same thing. He was just like, I don't know. Nobody knows anything.
But it's interesting about celebs, because there's even been times where a celebrity will come out having it and they have this huge platform and they'll be like, oh, I have it. And then 4 days later, they're like, yeah, I'm good.
Back to normal.
And I go, okay, so that was it? I'm like, well, what did you feel? How did all this happen? And so I'm just so happy that people are coming out and sharing this so that we can kind of be safer, take the right precaution, so that we can, because what's the perfect outcome? Or is that we do find a vaccine or a medicine is obviously the perfect outcome. But in the meantime, just everything, the 40 million people are out of jobs. What a crazy time.
Unemployment ends this month for people. So imagine that. That's a whole other thing. Yeah. So these people that can't get a positive test because the tests aren't the best, right? So under the CARES Act, you should be able to be paid for 2 weeks, which the 2-week thing, at the beginning, that's what they thought it was. Here I am 90 days later, like, doesn't really, but they have no financial help. They have no help from their insurance, no help for their kids. That's a whole other thing. It's just, it's really, really bad. And it's like the nation doesn't really have too much of a plan right now. And we need one. We're a great nation. We need a plan, period.
Can I ask you too, in the group that you found for people who have the symptoms as long as you, how many people would you say are in that, and how did you find that group? Because I know for me, if I were in your situation, I'd have to find the support and know, hey, are you guys feeling what I'm feeling? Like, how many people are there?
In my COVID, which there are multiple groups, by the way. So in my COVID survivors group, there's about 14,000 people in that one. Okay. And so that, I mean, people post in there daily. I mean, there's pictures and all sorts of stuff. And then I'm in a long haulers group. And mind you, there's long haulers group. I had somebody comment over in Holland that has a long haulers group for people in Holland. I mean, this is all across the world. So in my long haul COVID fighters group, we have 5,000.
Wow.
So, and this is just one group. This is for people round 1, 80 plus days. So then there's round 2 that's like 100 and something days, and then it just goes on. So I haven't graduated to that group yet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So how often do you go get tested then?
Well, I haven't been tested since, and that's another thing. I don't know when there would, I mean, and if I started having like maybe the severe GI issues again that presented themselves initially, if I started feeling like really, really bad every single day, perhaps I would go get a test. I don't know if there's a reason for me to do that right now. I think that I just need to be cautious, and I honestly think that these are just lasting symptoms.
Yeah. And then what would you recommend for somebody who, like someone like ourselves, we've never been tested. Do you feel that someone like us should just stay put and only if you have symptoms go get tested? Or do you think everyone should go get tested to?
I mean, it's hard to say because, I mean, you could go weekly and get a test if you wanted to, I guess, but just be cautious. And if you have been somewhere that you know you've been exposed, obviously go get a test there. I mean, don't stop living your life, but definitely just mask up and be cautious. You know, I'm upset I can't go on my family vacation next month. I'm probably not going to be able to see my mom in a year, right? So that, and my little niece, and that really, you know, it sucks, but also my mom is a heart patient and I don't want to risk getting that on a plane and then taking it to her. I mean, it's just not, it's not worth it right now, at least right now. So
that's how we are too. I mean, we our families are in New Jersey and Ohio, and everyone's, you know, thank God everyone's healthy, but we really miss them. And I just became a godfather for the first time, and there's a baptism.
Congratulations.
Thank you. There's all these moments in life that we feel that we're missing because we usually go home at least 2-3 times a year.
Yeah, I do too.
I just feel like I would feel terrible if I got on a plane and flew there, and, you know, our parents are over 60 and our family. So we're just missing our family, wishing we could be there, but we're just waiting. Yeah.
Just kind of, you know, I'd probably wait it out if I were y'all, because I'm doing the same thing. Just until things kind of calm down a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, so in the very beginning, when you first tested positive, your boyfriend tested positive too. Does he test positive now, or is that a negative?
No, he has been perfectly fine since.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for him. I mean, he was there to take care of me, and like I was, whenever I could sleep, because there were nights whenever I was so exhausted, but I could not sleep. And then there were other days where I would just want nothing more than to just sleep. And so whenever I could sleep, I would sleep with the pull socks on my finger. And my friend who's a nurse, her name is Dee Dee, she would kind of be on call with him, and he would send her over numbers. So he would just keep an eye on me. And there were times whenever she would be like, okay, if her numbers drop any lower, you know, she needs to go to the hospital. But the problem is, whenever I got there, my O2 levels would be fine because I was up and alert, and they wouldn't do anything for me. So it took, I mean, how long was that? Almost, yeah, I mean, about a month of all of that happening for me to finally get help. I mean, I don't know what the hospital experience is nowadays. I mean, that was kind of early on, you know, there's been a lot that's happened since, but I just want it to be better for young people, because I know I'm not the only one going through it, or has gone through it, or will go through it. So
What we're kind of hearing now is in LA, I think it's a younger demographic that
Mhm.
has COVID right now. So who knows the people that are testing positive for that, what they're going through. It could be just like you are, you know?
Yeah, I've had since the CNN, since last night, I've had so many messages, and a lot of young people have reached out to me saying thank you so much. I have felt so alone in this, and some of them are from small towns too, that they don't have a community of people. They don't live in a big city. They don't, I mean, it's a small town.
Yeah.
So yeah. And one girl, she was 24 years old and was having the exact same symptoms as me. She's been going through it for about 90 days, same thing. And it's just not getting media attention.
And then one last thing, and we won't keep you. With when it comes to the neurological portion of it, with the test that you're being done, is what seems to, do they know what's causing that? Has the virus affected some part of your body that's creating that, or is it just exhaustion? Or I mean, do they have any
Well,
idea?
they want me to have a brain MRI. Oh, and I still can't smell and taste, by the way. Did I mention that?
Really?
Yeah, I still can't really smell and taste. It's
Oh,
probably about like 30%, which I lost that about a week of testing positive. So that's really weird. But she wants me to have a brain MRI because she thinks that I could still have a lot of inflammation causing some issues, because this virus, I mean, it just ravages through your body, right? Uh, so yeah, it could be that. They were thinking whenever I was hospitalized at Cedars that there's a Guillain-Barré syndrome that has complications with COVID. They wanted to maybe do a lumbar puncture and check like my spinal fluid and stuff, but they decided to hold off on that. I was terrified. And might I say, being in the hospital alone is not fun. So they wanted to hold off on that. And whenever I saw my neurologist about a week and a half ago, she wanted to hold off as well. So we're just going to kind of see what the brain MRI looks like and then go from there. But with Guillain-Barré, it kind of affects your legs and numbness and stuff like that. But long haulers are having issues like that too. It's just it it runs rampant through the whole body, and we desperately need more to be more on doctors' radars for sure, and doctors that are willing to actually uh, treat us and get to the bottom of this. Because yes, I've been going through it for 90 days, and it's been tough. But I am mentally strong, and however, some people aren't as mentally strong and are really going through it, right? And it's heartbreaking, and I know that we can all get through it together. We just need to keep pushing for answers and keep getting out there more together, all together.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you. I mean, I thank you so much for sharing this with us, and we wish you nothing but the best. And we want to stay in touch with you. And your Instagram is so inspiring. You're sharing
yeah.
positivity, and you share your journey, and it just means a lot. And I think that's why we've connected and vibed. And we just want the best for everybody. And your information and inspiration is helping greatly. Do you want to share your Insta so that our audience can follow your journey and we can all rally behind you and make sure you come out of this on top?
Of
Yeah.
course, yes. So you can follow me at Instagram. It's just at Shelby Hedgecock. So it's just my first and last name, Shelby Hedgecock.
And thank you again for just sharing your story here and on all the different platforms, like even Facebook. I think it was maybe 60 days ago. I saw one of your first live videos and I was like, oh my gosh, babe, Shelby has this. And you were able to give, a little bit of insight into what was going on. And I think more than ever, this has to be a conversation. We have to be talking about it.
Well, see, I've been debating on going. I've been going back and forth on like, do I share this? Do I not? Do I share this? Do I not? Because I do not want to be negative. I don't. I'm not a negative person, and I don't want to spread fear and like do all of that stuff. But to be quite honest, this is the reality of my life and what a lot of us are going through right now. And I think that there are a lot of issues surrounding COVID right now that need to be addressed. and people need to hear our stories or else nothing's going to change. So I promised myself, there was one night that I was honestly afraid to go to sleep. Sorry. And I promised myself that once I had like a little bit of fight in me, and like once I got a little bit stronger, I was going to use my voice and use my platform to fight for those of us who really, really need it. And so here I am.
Oh,
Well, thank you, because you're, like I said, inspiring so many people. And don't worry about being negative. It's not negative at all.
no.
You're speaking your truth, and you really do have so much positivity. So
I
it
don't think
shows
Shelby could be negative. You have the right energy. I love it. And what you're doing is
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Stay
Thank
strong. Keep speaking out, because people need to know. I wouldn't have known this. You know, if it weren't
Yeah.
for you, I would have never known that people had long.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you all giving me the platform to do so.
Absolutely. And then we'd love to connect with you in a month or so, or whenever you're feeling up
Yes.
for it. If you have an
Perfect.
update, we'd love to have you back on so that we can continue to help spread the word and educate people. So anytime,
Sounds
please
good.
come on. You've been awesome. And I'm so excited we get to chat with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Freddie. Thank you, Alyssa.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Miss
Enjoy
you.
the
Be
rest of your
well.
day.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Take care.
Bye.